to get Medicaid, I think you have to deplete a lot of your resources.
That's correct.
So, which I don't think most of us want to do, or don't plan to do. And I think planning ahead for long-term care is to help
That's right.
with your assets so that you don't have to deplete, but still be able to get the care you need.
I always look at it as kind of a continuum of where you are.
Mm-hmm.
The starting out right off the bat, you should look at a long-term care insurance policy.
Okay.
Now you may not qualify. Okay.
Who qualifies?
Well, I mean, you have to be in okay health.
Okay.
You don't have to be in perfect health, but you have to be in okay health. Typically speaking, you can't have a cognitive memory impairment, dementia, Alzheimer's type situation. But that's the first go around. So we're talking about, we normally have our medical and health insurance, but then you would have long-term care insurance that you would purchase. Typically speaking, the younger you are, the less expensive it is.
That was going to be my next question. Mm-hmm. Can anybody purchase long-term care?
Absolutely.
And is it, no matter how old you are, you could be young.
That's right.
And
the statistics prove out, again, 18 to 64 is still 42% of all dollars are spent there. Okay? It doesn't take much to think about that. You fall off your bike without a helmet.
Yes.
And suddenly, you have paralysis, and now you need long-term care. Okay? The situation next is, if I can't get that, what other means are there? There are hybrid long-term care insurance policies that are out there that have different qualifications. So we want to sit down and talk about what kind of history did you have? Have you had a stroke and those kinds of things? Because we may not be able to qualify for one, but it doesn't mean that we don't have other options.
Okay, and who? My assumption is that some of long-term care can be gotten through employers, like big employers may have some of those.
Oftentimes, specifically in this area, of course, there's a federal long-term care policy. It's offered through John Hancock for the federal employees. So, absolutely. Of course, we have naturally the military, right? Mm-hmm. With regards to the military, there are a couple of different scenarios, but associated with the Medicaid component of it is called VA aid and attendance. Okay, aid and attendance in that instance was designed to help and assist in the long-term care of veterans.
Oh, okay. So that's somewhat similar to Medicaid for non-veterans.
You can have both, though.
Oh, you can?
You can have both. Right. Okay. So, and again, if you're talking about some of these facilities and their cost, you need to have both.
You need to have both.
Okay. And then after those hybrids, of course, there are your own funds. Okay. Self-insuring. Typically, I use that as kind of a last resort if we can't get you long-term care insurance, because there we're taking the risk of needing long-term care, and just like car insurance, just like health insurance, we're putting it in a pool and pushing that risk off to an insurance company by paying a premium. Okay, self-insuring means we have a pile of money, and I'm going to spend my pile of money. And
deplete it really fast.
And probably deplete it really fast, unfortunately. And then last would be Medicaid.
Okay.
But all of these need to be looked at in conjunction.
Okay.
Because you didn't work hard to save $400,000 just to let it all go away because you're old.
Right.
I mean, and need assistance. That's not what you plan to do. You need to look at a plan that can be implemented to protect those dollars. And I always use an example. If we don't protect any of those dollars, and you have a new drug that comes out, because Medicaid requires you to spend down all of your assets to a certain point,
including your house,
everything. They will tag or put a lien against the house to be paid back once you've deceased if you're still living in the house. And there are ways to stay in the house and still get paid Medicaid. Medicaid waiver program is that's called.
Okay.
So you don't have to be in a home, in a nursing home or facility to get Medicaid.
Okay.
Okay. But in spending everything down, what happens is in the state of Virginia, you have to spend down to $2,000 of assets. $2,000 of assets.
Oh,
and you're going to receive a monthly stipend of only $40 of income from that to buy toothbrushes and assurance.
You can't get anything.
You can't get much. You're not going to get a cell phone plan, right?
That's right.
So if let's say a year or two later, a new drug came out that you could take, Medicare doesn't cover it because we know it takes time for them to get it in their system.
Right.
But it might save you, or it might lengthen your life. But it costs $5,000 a shot every 6 months. We've heard of these things, okay? Who's going to pay for that? Well, your son or your daughter. And they're going to feel pretty bad if they don't have the money to do it.
Right.
Okay? And so by protecting our assets, by working a plan early, we can save ourselves from, one, having to rely on our son or daughter to have to pay for that, okay? Giving us options for the future. That's really what it boils down to.
So who do you go to talk to about, say, the hybrid, types of coverage and stuff? I'm sure that's not something, or I don't know if that's offered through employers. Because
typically speaking, it will only be the traditional long-term care insurance. Okay, you won't see the hybrids. Okay, and they're not going to. Unfortunately, they're going to offer it and tip. I mean, the federal program is a fantastic program, but that's just one item. That's going to the drugstore and buying, the decongestant. But you also need the other stuff.
Right.
And so you're fixing one problem, but are you addressing everything else? So you need to look for a professional that you can sit down with and go through these types of things. Insurance agents are a great place to start from the standpoint that they'll know about these various products. But again, most agents, even financial advisors, aren't working with the senior population specifically, and understanding the nuances of maybe the Medicaid scenario and what types of funding we have available there, and how it's going to relate to our other finances, and then ultimately having to work with an elder law attorney to help structure our estate properly, because we've got to do those things in the planning process.
So what you're saying is that even when people go to do estate planning and do their planning, there's a difference, but most people don't specialize in specifically seniors.
That's correct.
And it's good to go talk to somebody who specializes in that and actually works with elder care attorneys and knows the nuances of Medicaid, if you're a veteran, the different programs that are offered, so you can do some planning that's related to long-term care also and save.
Yes, absolutely. Because as an example, estate attorneys, thousands of them, I work with tons of them, they know their stuff. But when it comes to Medicaid and seniors and these types of plans, VA benefits, etc., you need to talk to an elder law attorney, which is a subset of the estate attorneys. So thousands of estate attorneys, and just a few over 100 elder law attorneys in the state of Virginia.
See, most of us don't think that. We just go, we're going to an estate attorney and they know what they're doing and it's all good.
Right.
But you're saying it's better to also talk to at least elder care.
Typically, most estate attorneys are who you're talking to while you're working.
Oh, okay.
When you're younger. That's just the way it works.
Okay.
And you may talk to them when you're older, but not as much about your long-term care as much about transferring wealth to children and those kinds of things. And this is a different animal.
Totally different thing. Yeah. Well, the essence of time, since it's going to be almost 30 minutes, is there any couple of points that you want to make? And then what I'd like to do is if you can tell everybody, if somebody has any questions, how to reach you.
Sure. I think the first part is if you're looking to plan for long-term care, some of the key things to look at. You want to work with individuals that are part of several of the senior resource groups in your area, associations that deal with seniors specifically. We typically call ourselves senior serving professionals. Okay. That's probably the first part, and there's a small network of those individuals. If you go to an assisted living facility or a couple in your area, they'll be able to tell you what those groups are, and they'll have a network of people that deal specifically with seniors.
Because they use them all the time.
Because they use them all the time, because there's not many of us, if you will. The second thing is there are a lot of services available to you. So if you're looking at Medicare, so I do a lot of planning in Medicare. If you're looking at Medicare, you want to look to the SHIP Talk program. Okay, SHIP Talk.
SHIP Talk.
SHIPTALK.org. Okay.
Huh.
In the state of Virginia, it's called there's VICAP. These things provide you with direct support. The Department of Veterans Services is who you want to talk to if you're a military veteran, not the VA.
Department of Veterans Services.
The Virginia Department of Veterans Services as well. They're Maryland as well, and DC.
Okay.
So those are really important. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's great information.
Great resources.
Great. Excellent. So,
and then I'm sorry.
How can somebody reach you if they have any questions? Because obviously this is a much bigger topic than can be covered in 30 minutes.
Sure. Well, a couple of things. First, I would say the Pro-Aging website. I do a lot of presentations, and I'm on there. If you look at events, you'll find me. Or the Alzheimer's website, you'll find legal and financial presentations, and you can come to any of my presentations that I do throughout the DC area. The last is you can reach out to me via phone. My office number is 571-405-3886.
Okay, great.
And then just give me a call. I'm glad to talk to and point you in the right direction, be it a geriatric care manager, a senior real estate specialist, or any other individual in the area of seniors.